Omar comes to town to clear up his pal's troubles. He meets Emma and seems to know more about her than does his naive friend. Chapter 23: The Bug Collector. Omar was camped out by Aiden's back door when his friend rounded the corner. He grinned to see the wrinkled clothes, and with a special radar.
Do my eyes deceive me?
The resident unlocked the door without comment. The broad swath of a man followed his friend inside, not noticing the state of disarray in the house from the previous day's upheaval. He sat in a chair at the kitchen table while Aiden, rattling off his laundry list of latest horrors, brushed his teeth at the sink. The lawyer's expression throughout the recital was low-key. On hearing the part about the sleeping pills being tampered with, he ventured a half-solution.
Throw them away. I can get you new pills.
The paltry nature of his counsel surprised the client. You said this was all part of a TV show, right?
I'm working the problem.
Working the problem? What is the problem? The friend stood up in a piece of redirection.
I hope we're safe to drink coffee in this town.
Why aren't you telling me what you know? Omar had that look, a look that told his friend he was on a need-to-know basis. The host could not help provoking his uncommunicative guest. If nothing else, I can introduce you to Emma while you're here. The lawyer chafed.
I'm never eager to meet any woman who will be your undoing.
Aiden frowned. You will be nice to her. Omar was about to balk, but looked to the door.
Let's meet this wretched woman.
The resident, gladdened by the prospect of spending the day with his friend, gambled upstairs for a change of clothes. Despite their differences in temperament, Omar and Aiden were natural allies. Their instinct and swagger as outsiders made them ill-suited for academia, ill-groomed for culture, but praiseworthy of each other. Their friendship was as steadfast as it was agreeably asymmetrical. Omar was the sun, and Aiden the lesser planet. While the philosopher king was in his heaven, all was right with the world. Both men were obstinately idealistic and compelled to act on principles that handicapped them. This compunction to truth made them indifferent to de rigueur mores. They did not glad hand or suffer fools kindly, and it was as much out of shared alienation as out of a shared mountaintop that Aiden clung to Omar as his beacon. The car ride to the coffee shop was eventful. The lawyer spotted the forgotten scrap of paper lying on the dashboard. Inferring the handwriting belonged to a woman, he inquired,
What's this?
Amber's phone number, your prostitute friend.
Who are you talking about?
Amber Monet, the call girl you sent to my room the other night when I came to visit. Omar laughed.
Why should I send a hooker to your room?
The friend scrambled. She was in your apartment. You said you sent her by to help me fall asleep.
You saw the building maid. I sent her to your room with a sleeping pill. You flipped out, remember?
A woman in a maid outfit came by my room and talked to me, exclaimed the driver. We even talked about you.
Did you have sex with her?
She implied we had.
Then you dreamt it. You can't even get laid in your dreams.
Aiden's complexion resembled chalk.
And she said her name was Amber Monet?
Yes.
Like the porno actress.
What porno actress? Omar explained.
My maid friend told me you had a copy of Invasion of the Bodily Snatch in your room. That's an Amber Monet film, sort of a Bride of Frankenstein flick about a dead woman brought back to life by a college professor.
That sounds like my research on Daedalus Monet. Aiden pointed at the glove compartment box. I jotted some notes about the architect in my journal, in there. The lawyer was not inspired to investigate.
Daedalus Monet, Amber Monet, it's more evidence you're being dicked with by these TV people.
He hummed dismissively.
You and your wee Willie are going to be a mid-season replacement for some crappy sitcom on Fox.
Aiden quibbled. How do you know your maid friend isn't in on it too? You said you barely knew this woman when you first spoke of her. How do you know this isn't the same woman who came by my room after she left you?
Because,
grumbled Omar.
After she finished polishing my bedpost, she polished my bedpost. She was with me all night.
The friend slumped.
And this midnight visitor,
pressed the lawyer.
She told you she was a prostitute?
She said she was a therapist. Omar mulled it over. Can't you check the closed-circuit television tape from the lobby of your hotel? She's bound to turn up there.
The tape gets recorded over daily.
The friend slumped further. The attorney did his big brother number.
I said I was taking care of this, and I am.
The pair pulled up outside the coffee house. With chest distended, the misanthrope stared down the anti-dairy protesters at the door. His temerity might give offense, but his hubris was as much for theatrical flourish as a display of conviction. Having set his stage, maestro and pupil entered the premises. Aiden was excited to introduce Emma to his best friend, but Omar exhibited none of the artist's romantic sentiment. Being a student of Schopenhauer, the cynic was well aware of the biological mechanics involved. For it was Schopenhauer who said love was the lie practiced on the individual by the species, and it was Schopenhauer who said 9/10 the cause of love were the lover, and only 1/10 was the object. And it was Schopenhauer in his infamous essay on women who likened a woman's beauty to the wings of a female ant. They fall off shortly after breeding because they become detrimental to the raising of young. These attitudes also reflected Omar's sober appraisal of the fair sex. The coffee house bustled. Emma was unflappable and effervescent in pink. It was instantly clear to Omar who was the puppy and who was the leash in this budding relationship. He wasted little time on salutations.
Aiden tells me you're in fine art photography.
I am, answered Emma.
If I were going to waste my time with an art degree, I would go into photography too. You can always get a real job if the art thing doesn't pan out, like taking pictures for a coroner's office.
The receiver of this advice grimaced. What kind of pictures?
Of bullet wounds or bite marks on dead prostitutes.
Aiden chuckled nervously. That's Omar for you. Always the optimist. More customers approached, so the coffee maker made them in their lattes. Omar led his friend to a nearby table. He, too, could not take his eyes off the tall, leggy brunette. What do you think? Asked the painter.
She's wearing an engagement ring, Addie. Didn't you tell me she was involved with the college prof?
A clarification was offered. There is involvement, only it's with a fiancé.
Is it a long-distance relationship?
Well...
Is he around?
I haven't met him, if that's what you mean.
But you were with her last night, right?
Aiden sipped his coffee.
How long have they been engaged?
Counsel probed. Since high school. It's the real thing. Omar laughed out loud.
Real thing, my ass. She couldn't commit to this guy in college, so now is using grad school as an excuse to shop around. Your fortunate timing has abandoned you at last. You're in the catbird seat on this one.
Aiden would not be drawn into this speculation. Counsel glanced at the sunny barista again, postulating.
She's too damn perky to have spent much quality time on her back. I wouldn't be surprised if her joined-at-the-hip sweetheart is the only poke she's ever had.
The client was no more goaded into presumption than speculation.
What about the other one?
Observed counsel, eyeing the second barista. The other one? Do you mean Erica?
What about her?
Omar plotted.
She looks feisty and sturdy.
I can't see you hooking up with her.
Oil and water?
More like oil and oil, which would only lead to a kitchen fire and fire extinguishers. Omar assessed the dynamic.
She's cute in an infantile way. Infantile facial features are God's way of giving young women beguile where he does not give them exemplary bone structure. It's a 6-month lease.
Aiden supplied his own Beaumont. I bow to your superior knowledge of anatomy. The lull was brief, and the friend was soon paddling the boat back toward the deep end of the pool.
Well,
He segued.
did it get hot and heavy last night with your alla prima masterpiece?
The reserved painter always squirmed at these forays. Yes. His answer was too clipped. Omar put on his lawyer's hat.
What do you mean by yes? You say yes like we're playing 20 questions. Did you do it or not?
The witness fumbled for a napkin. Not technically. Omar was curt.
I know this song and dance well. You lead with your chin, and she has you dancing by the short hairs. What happened?
There was a back rub and some kissing. The friend leaned back with a measure of world weariness.
Don't let this turn into another one of your from the waist up only relationships, where she yanks your chain but not your dick. You must give off a scent women can smell like money.
Aiden scanned the tabletop for a defense. We're friends, with privileges. The lawyer seized on his friend's floundering as an excuse to lecture.
You've had too little experience with women. When you get a girl in the sack, it's like Disney World with you. You spend so much time surveying the park that you forget to go on the rides. Many females in this world will happily exploit your timidity in not demanding intercourse, especially if they get a free 3-hour back rub out of it. You need to insist on the main course right off. Leave the hors d'oeuvres for later.
Aiden piped up. She did initiate the kiss. Counsel was not impressed.
If you marry a beautiful woman, you'll spend half your life beating off alone in the bathroom and the other half being paranoid about every man who looks at her. And there's no end to that. You'll never get a good night's sleep until you either arrange a disfiguring scar for her or get her knocked up. Since, speaking as your lawyer, there's no legal penalty entailing jail time with the latter, that would be my advised course of action. The only thing less attractive than a woman missing a limb is a woman with a clinging child.
You're heartless, Omi.
No, just practical.
The attorney sneered at Emma.
You set yourself up for failure, Grasshopper. You choose unattainable women because you have a high opinion of yourself. And when things go awry for whatever lame reason, it becomes one more excuse for you to engage in your periodic bouts of self-loathing. You never get the volume right.
You're getting too far out in front of this, counsel. One night of foreplay doesn't equal a lifetime commitment.
You call a back rub foreplay?
Aiden angled. Well, an orgasm was involved.
Evidently not yours.
No.
Let me guess. She got sleepy, so wrapped up the evening with a head fake.
Aiden sharpened the creases on his carefully refolded napkin. She's complicated.
Complicated how?
Aiden was reluctant to part with it. There was a suicide attempt when she was younger. Counsel was solemn.
What pretty henna-dunk college woman doesn't make that claim?
Why must you be so smart at my expense?
Because I don't want you hiding behind excuses, yours or hers. You can't have a relationship without sex, and you can't have sex if one of the participants is so high up on a pedestal. You can't grab her drawers. Don't let her set the parameters here. You only have to beat this fiancé's hump time by a few minutes to move to the front of the class.
There's more to it than sex. The sage darkened.
For all your notions of unsullied love, my friend, I know you polish your purple helmet just as much as you do your Boy Scout honor badges, if not more. Too much of your self-sacrificing in this regard is dressed-up cowardice. What was it Nietzsche said? Verily, many is the time I've laughed at the weakling who thought himself virtuous for having lame paws.
Aiden sprung a defense. I must proceed in the way I know how. I wish I could be decisive, but I'm not.
So what does that leave you with? Greeting cards? You can't ask a woman to be her boyfriend. It doesn't work like that. You assume the role before it's assigned to you. You have to move in a few sticks of furniture before she'll let you set up house. Love is closer to the realm of the body than the mind. It's about attitude. If she's sharing her bed with you, then the fiancé is on the way out, which means you are on the way in. Words, sentimental or contractual, are, as I'm always saying, afterthoughts.
I know, the timid friend moaned. I'm screwed on both ends. I can no more profess my feelings than act on them.
Which leaves the woman in the driver's seat, which puts you back where we started this conversation.
I guess. Omar paused in his unsolicited advice, sighing.
If one of these ideal women ever end up screwing you like a whore, you'll have no leverage at all, no resentment left whatsoever on which to hang your spineless hide.
Given the engrossing conversation between the friends, Emma felt left out. Once the crowd thinned, she approached the nearby table on the pretense of wiping it off. Both men glanced over. About the memorial service, she interjected. Call me at 4:30. Aiden nodded. Seeing the discussion stopped on her account, the beaming barista pulled up a chair in hopes of restarting it. What's your profession? She asked. Omar did not want to be disturbed, but his friend was ready for a change of subject. Counsel turned to face the young woman and spoke in a piece of misdirection.
I am a philosopher.
What kind of philosopher? He led her further into wilderness.
A transcendental idealist.
What is a transcendental idealist?
Do you really want to know?
Her smile was overstretched. Of course. In perfunctory fashion, Omar set down his coffee and pulled his chair close to Emma's. She was surprised by his intrusion into her personal space.
You see this coffee cup in front of you?
He pushed his mug near her.
The only way you can interact with this coffee is through your senses, right? In no other way can you physically relate to it.
Omar unexpectedly caressed Emma's lips with his thumb. She jerked. He continued.
You taste bitter with your mouth, but bitter in and of itself is not a cup of coffee.
He then stroked her eyelid with his thumb.
You see brown, but brown in and of itself is not a cup of coffee.
He lastly took her hand, a little too firm for her liking.
You feel warmth, but warmth in and of itself is not a cup of coffee. So I ask you, if all these things, which are the only things you can ever possibly experience, are not a cup of coffee, then where is the cup of coffee as it exists as a thing in itself?
Emma puzzled. In all of them? Omar released her hand.
This is your understanding, but not your experience. Your experience is only particular sensations, like bitter, brown, and warm. Where do all these particular sensations come together to make a cup of coffee?
She was on the spot. In our minds.
Exactly. The cup of coffee, as it exists as an object, is an idea in your mind. Reality, as we understand it, is only a collection of ideas assembled in our head. However, the thing in itself, the metaphysical essence of the cup of coffee, to which bitter, brown, and warm are attached, cannot be understood outside its idea.
Emma looked skeptical, but went along. Then we are cut off. Omar waved off this hasty conclusion.
Quite the contrary. You have only ended one conversation to start another. Perception does not end with conception. It ends with intuition. Concepts can only generalize, where intuition can be specific. Concepts can only be impersonal, where intuition can make your very personal hair stand on end. We are the thing in itself, but for the conditions of sense understanding, and there is no reason to presume that we are cut off in quality, where a quantity cannot be described.
Emma remained confounded. I'm not sure I understand. Omar was as charitable as he could be.
The thing in itself does not require understanding, only humility.
And this is what you believe? The philosopher quieted.
When I first heard this idea some 25 years ago, I thought it was laughable. After thinking carefully about it, I thought it was a clever trick. Later still, I came to view it as plausible. Then finally, I understood. Not only was it the one thing of certain truth in the world, but it was the only thing that mattered.
Emma was moved. It sounds like God.
That,
the teacher answered,
is humility.
Aiden, basking in the exchange, got up to go to the bathroom, convinced the two would get along in his absence. However, the moment he disappeared, his friend launched into the barista.
You couldn't wait to get over here and piss on your kill like a lioness.
Emma was thrown by the show of aggression. I don't know what you're talking about. Aiden and I are just friends.
In the convoluted lexicon of female logic, that means pay no attention to the man standing behind the curtain.
Emma did not care for Omar's professorial tone. I suppose you're an expert on women, too.
I'm a student of human nature,
explained the lawyer.
When your boy strays too far away, you shake your cute little dinner bell of an ass, and he comes scurrying back. It's in your genes. You're a woman. I know it isn't personal.
The barista was unaccustomed to being dissected. I have no designs on Aiden. Omar laughed sharply.
She said with a straight face. Let's cut to the chase. I know what you're doing, but I'm not going to get in your way.
What do you mean by what I am doing?
Look,
he said.
I saw your undiluted sense of possession the moment I walked through the door. I respect that. I also know you have an agenda. It's the same agenda every woman has. You're what, a 23-year-old artist looking to have a career in the arts? Aiden is a door, a convenient door, a useful door.
Emma recast it. Our friendship is mutually beneficial. I am his muse, and he is my mentor. Omar was sour.
Whatever. I know you're putting him through his paces. That too is in your genes. I don't have any patience for that nonsense. Aiden, I am sure, will blossom, incandesce, under your womanly abuse. You'll drain the purple from his prose, even as you make his balls bluer than cornflowers.
You're a misogynist.
Misogyny is another word for watching your back.
I wonder if you even know your friend that well.
I know him well enough to know when to let go of him.
The woman was flustered. Aren't you being a bit melodramatic? This isn't an either-or situation.
Yes, but you see, it is. Aiden cannot serve two masters. That's why I concede him to you on my terms.
Emma was now the one laughing. Your terms? What are your terms? The man's eyes took on a Svengali quality as he leaned forward.
Can't you guess?
His breath swirled in the hollow of her neck. Emma went rigid. What do you want?
Immortality.
Confused, then defiant, the barista's chair scooted loudly from the table, drawing unwanted attention from those in the vicinity. She bristled, but would not honor invective with a show of histrionics. Aiden turned the corner. Her half-smile betrayed anxiousness on his return. A new customer headed for the counter, giving her reason for a speedy exit. Her original intent in coming over, which she had forgotten, was to get Aiden's attention. His eyes obediently followed her back to her workstation. Omar realized he needed to remove his friend from the building if he hoped to win back his attention. Aiden and Omar went to an Ethiopian restaurant for lunch. Taking a table by a bright window, the painter broached his subject circuitously. Do you have a better opinion of Emma now that you've talked to her?
I'm resigned to her,
the lawyer said with unanticipated forbearance.
It's good to know that when you die, there'll be someone to care about you, beyond neighbors complaining about the stench coming from your apartment.
Can this be taken as a blessing?
Blessing?
Grunted Omar.
I've already exhausted my charitableness on this topic.
Aiden eyed the shared platter of what with determination. I'll settle for approval. Omar, tearing off a strip of injera bread, dove in first.
I just want you walking into this with your eyes open,
he stressed.
There's necessary compromise in relationships. There will be consequences, especially for your art.
Of course, counsel explained.
It's no mystery why most of the great philosophers were lifelong bachelors, why Beethoven, Brahms, and Schubert never married. Genius is a hothouse flower, and domesticity is not a hothouse.
One might conclude that we are deluded for counting ourselves in such company, Omi. This claim was immediately countered.
If you know your own worth, then the most anyone can accuse you of is lacking false modesty.
Aiden brooded over his food. The point is moot. It's not like I've ever gotten anywhere with my art. The friend was almost conciliatory.
The odds were always stacked against you. Success in life is a matter of meeting expectation, not exceeding it. Being different is never good, unless you're different in the same way everyone else is. People only admire genius to the degree it anticipates the next well-beaten path.
You may be right.
I know I'm right.
The philosopher climbed back on his soapbox.
The enemies list for every new idea is long in this world. There's apathy, cliquishness, political and social agendas, people who say think outside the box, but only mean the wrapping paper. MBAs, who want to focus group every rare, excellent, and difficult ideal out of existence. The graveyard of academia, where dead ideas go to be canonized, and so on and so forth. The great conceit of culture is the presumption that we know every worthy mind that ever lived. The truth is, if it weren't for a few people working on behalf of others, no one would ever have heard of Kafka, Van Gogh, or Shakespeare. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air, as Gray said.
The world is hardly bereft of talent. His reply was sardonic.
Prodigies are a dime a dozen these days. One can find 1,000 preschoolers who can play Beethoven's violin concerto without dropping a note. What we don't have are more Beethovens.
Sitting around and commiserating about what misunderstood Beethovens we are is not likely to win us allies.
If we have no allies in this world, who is going to rally to our cause if not ourselves? We have nothing to gain by hiding our light under a bushel. We beat legalized abortion by 15 years and have been fighting to validate our unintended lives ever since.
Some might say we've never grown up, only bitter.
Either way, our childhoods are unfinished business. We've left open a window others have been only too happy to close on their way out.
Then what is to be our fate besides arrested adolescence? The lawyer rose with bravado.
I see only divinity's hand in my life, and whether I am despised through instruments of envy or dismissed as being indecorous in my arrogance, I will be the pearl in the shit pile to inconveniently remind others that not all in life is shit. As Nietzsche said, there's more difference between man and man than there is between man and animal.
What is to be my fate? Omar did not hesitate.
Yours, my friend, is to grow up.
The painter reeled at the prospect. Me grow up? That would be the ultimate irony. Counsel was arid.
Irony is the name observant people give to life.
He slapped a $20 tip on the table. Exiting the cafe, the two men strolled down a tree-lined lane. Where late afternoon light penetrated the leaves, it split the red, green, and amber colors like dichroic glass. and suggested 2 panes of cloisonne, 2 seasons, briefly separated. Once the light weakened, the effect dissolved, and a chill set the collaborators silently on their way.